The credibility of business leadership South Africa has come under fire following accusations by whistleblower Athol Williams, who questions this particular business grouping for embracing Bain Company. Now, let me remind you who Bain Company is. It's one of the several powerful multinational corporations at the center of corruption and state capture in South Africa. Williams resigned as Bain's South Africa's partner back in October of 2019 and delivered explosive testimony in March this year on evidence related to the South African Revenue Service. Let's get reaction now, and we're joined by Business Unity South Africa President Bonang Mohale. Mr. Mohale, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate this. I want to start off with the question that says the criticism against business leadership South Africa for readmitting Bain Company into its fold. Do you think that decision is well-founded, given that suggestions are that Bain Company essentially has not repented for its sins?
My brother, thank you for having me. That answer is best put on the door of business leadership South Africa. Because BLSA is a member of BUSA. BUSA is the apex organization of all organizations. However, remember, I suspended Bain when I was the CEO of BLSA.
And stop exactly where you are, sir. Exactly where you are. I'm sorry to interrupt you. What were your reasons for suspending Bain Company at the time?
They were very compelling. Bain aided and abetted state capture. They did the most heinous crimes. They went and plotted to take out effective and efficient people at Bain and replace them with those people whose only claim to fame is continuing the industrial scale looting. They worked with Mr. Moyane at that time, who eventually became the commissioner with the sitting president, to say that people that know what's happening at SARS must be replaced. And we were convinced as a board of BLSA at that time that actually their suspension fitted the 4 criteria of state capture. Number 1, where you create a shadow state and decisions are no longer made by cabinet. Number 2, it's about repurposing state-owned enterprises, and it's one of them. Number 3, it's about replacing the good people with the bad cops. And then lastly, if the intention was always to ultimately capture national treasury, in particular the PIC, because the PIC is the biggest asset manager in the continent with 2 trillion South African rands assets under management. Therefore, we saw the evidence when the money that is stolen in the Free State in the Stina Dairy Farm makes its way to the Gupta people. They spent 30 million on the most lavish wedding. Then they go back to SARS and say, but this was a business expense. Can you reimburse us? And in fact, they were reimbursed. So this organization to us was not only aiding and abetting state capture, it was in the heart of state capture. That's why we went to the board, we looked at the evidence, we followed a process, and then we suspended Bain. In fact, the first organization we suspended in BLSA when I was the CEO, funny enough, was a private sector company, KPMG, then Transnet, then Eskom, and then Bain was number 4.
All right. So let's pause exactly where you are. And I want to bring into this now a soundbite from yesterday's interview with Athol Williams. This is what he had to say when he says he found out that Bain Company has been readmitted into the fold of business leadership South Africa. Let's just have a listen for a second.
Secondly, we know that Bain did not cooperate with the Newzroom Commission because the Newzroom Commission report said so. Judge Newton was very critical of Bain for not cooperating, not supporting, not putting witnesses forward. In fact, Bain withheld information and witnesses from the Nugent Commission. Thirdly, this idea of full disclosure and making full disclosure and cooperating. Even the Zondo Commission, as you recall, invited Bain to present witnesses, and Bain declined to present their witnesses. They wanted to cross-examine me, but were not willing to put their own people forward for questioning. It's a major challenge to the credibility of business leadership South Africa, but also our country. Right now, BLSA is in the UK trying to get the Prime Minister of the UK to take South Africa off the red list. They are representing our country. And so how can this organization, who speaks about ethics, integrity, and being anti-corruption, now represent us to the world while embracing a company? And let's be clear, Bain is different to the other companies involved in state capture because they were at the table with President Zuma and all of the others who were planning state capture.
Mr. Mohale, I'd like to keep this quite short but simple at the same time. I put it to you that this is a credibility crisis for business leadership South Africa. I take it you agree.
Mr. Williams is absolutely right. In fact, Bain did worse. We met with them 3 times. So they issued a statement that says, we know we are wrong. Yes, we have aided and abetted state capture. We have taken action. The gentleman who was the CEO of Bain has stopped working for us. They say so in a statement, and they say so in my face when I confronted the leadership of Bain here, but also Bain Global. As it turns out, the person who was the MD of Bain South Africa was promoted. The company paid for this gentleman to relocate to Dubai to look after what is now called the EMEA region. So we had the 4th meeting with them to say, but how can you be such blatant liars, not only by word of mouth, but you actually put it in your statement.
Mr. Mohale.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mohale, I'm sorry to cut in here. I hear you, and South Africans are probably saying, but why are you being difficult to this man? He is forthcoming, and he is not wishy-washy. He's not trying to spin anything. The important bit here, Mr. Mohale, is that business leadership South Africa exists under the umbrella body that is BUSA. That's the organization you lead. I know and I understand what you're saying, that you cannot say anything about this decision to readmit Bain Company into business leadership South Africa. So it's the leadership of BLSA who must come and account here. Unfortunately, they simply are not available, and that's why we had to come to you. So my question to you is, why should the people of South Africa listen to leaders like yourself, to leaders like Busi Mavuso, when you are going to let us down in this fashion, when the Zondo Commission report is not even out yet?
I absolutely agree with you, especially because when we went into BLSA, we went there to transform BLSA, to give it credibility, so that it can get its social license to operate and be a respected partner to all the social partners, an advisor, and doing everything possible to make sure that this ANC-led government becomes a capable state. I can assure you that we are going to have this conversation internally. Lastly, remember the reason why we went to BLSA is because in 1960 when it was formed for 2 reasons, and 2 reasons only primarily: to defend apartheid and for sanction busting. We went there to say we are now free. Our first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela, said, we are now in charge. Let's go into the belly of the beast, BLSA, and eat it from inside out. Because if business can be transformed, South Africa will be transformed. At that time, business was employing 13.5 million people. Government was employing 2.3 million people in all 3 spheres of government. So at personal risk to our own reputation, we went and said, not only are we going to do the right things, but we are going to be absolutely ethical. And the strategy of BLSA was premised on 3 things. Number 1, and it's very important, to root out and defeat state capture. Number two, the protection of key state institutions like the Zondo Commission. And then lastly, to make sure that business becomes a national asset. Those three should not be compromised under any circumstances.
Professor Bonang Mohale, thank you very much for your time, sir. I'm sure the story is not over, not by a long shot.